Fear not to try the mountain passes. They will kill care, save you from deadly apathy, set you free, and call forth every faculty into vigorous, enthusiastic action. Even the sick should try these so-called dangerous passes because for every unfortunate they kill, they cure 1,000. The John Muir Trail starts in Yosemite National Park and continues 221 miles through the Ansel Adams Wilderness, Sequoia National Park, Kings Canyon National Park, and ends at the highest peak in continental United States, which is Mount Whitney at 14,496 feet. The Muir Trail is named after John Muir, America's most famous and influential naturalist and conservationist. I chose to hike this trail because I was ready for a challenge in my life and wanted to remind myself what I was made of. To prepare for the long hike, I started hiking as many miles as I could every day. I kept increasing my mileage every time I went out on a hike and then slowly added more weight in my backpack. I took some training hikes up in the Sierras just to get an experience of being up at elevation. And the rest of it was really just researching and preparing for sending myself all of the food and supplies that I would need as I went along. Take a good guess as terms of how much I'd be eating and send along the fuel canisters and all of the other supplies as well. There were definitely some low points on the trail. I had my doubts in the beginning. And the first maybe 3 or 4 days on the trail, I was just absolutely exhausted. My feet were killing me. They were covered with blisters. My boots turned out to be too heavy. And the altitude was far more of a factor than I was considering in the first place. It was extremely difficult to go up the steep passes with that amount of weight, and then also on the other coming down the back sides. At the end of the day, when I reached the campsite, I was literally unable to move. I had promised myself I was hiking along. As long as I could take one more step, I would keep going. I ended up running into a mother bear and her cub. We startled each other. I came around the corner and they were sleeping. We all jumped up and backed away. The mother bear was really holding her ground and defending her cub and wasn't going to move off the trail. I could see her face and she was incredibly frightened. I would say more frightened of me than I was of her. So I gave them their space and backed away and found a different way to hike up the mountain and continue up the trail. In some ways, you know, that when we address our fears directly, they tend to dissolve, and I have to say I found that to be true for that experience. For the rest of the trip, I felt far more comfortable and had really let go and softened in my fear of bears and the big worry every night. The highlight of the entire trip was most definitely standing on the summit of Mount Whitney. I made it to the summit before the dawn that final morning and got to see the sunrise. I was the first person to the summit. So I had the summit to myself for about 15 minutes or so where I just could enjoy the experience of my accomplishment and reflect on everything that took to get there.